Another thing about the ride of these fishbowls, originally all GM fishbowls came with Delco Remy shock absorbers that were set up for these buses. And over time, all the bus operators went for the cheaper Monroe and cheaper shocks, which didn't let the bus sway, and it made a horrible ride on so many of them. And of course, every time I get a bus, if anyone rode like that, we took the shocks right off and put the Delcos on, and they rode good.
Didn't George change something also about the shocks? Can't remember. You told me once that George changed something about the shocks, the way they were mounted or something.
Oh, no, what you're talking about was right here. Originally, the shocks were mounted on the side here, and then George made a modification and mounted the shocks here, which caused the buses to ride better. And also the problem, when you put them on the side, they would break loose and go right through the floor. That only lasted shortly, about 1960. That didn't last long because, needless to say, everybody was screaming.
That would be a drag to have your shock go through the floor. Have a bad
George
ride.
discovered that very soon on and had a machine shop in Los Angeles modify that. And of course, GM with their spy cameras came in and stole it. This is the reason why George Pell didn't like GM, because they would come in to a visit, and in the meantime, they were stealing all of his ideas. This is the reason why in Los Angeles, you had mostly flexibles. He purposely did that. Designed the specs so they would get flexibles. And of course the GM people were upset because they wanted 200 and 300 bus orders, and they were trying to get the business, but you know. Yeah, George was pretty upset with GM. Of all the people I've ever known, George Powell probably got them more upset than anybody.
But his buses look nice, though, right? I mean, the ones he was taking care of.
Oh, he took care of them all.
They were. I mean, they looked good going down the road. They didn't have no.
Oh yeah, they were perfect. They were not. They were perfect. And
kept the paint on them. Kept them dent free.
Perfect paint jobs. The body work was all done. The wheels were always painted. And he would go out and check. Every day he'd go out and check to see, you know, if he saw a bus with an unpainted wheel or something, he'd call it in and make him change it out. He had it down to a science. His engines had to go so far, his transmissions had to go so far. Everything had to be financially confident. And that's how he ran it. He's an amazing guy. Not many people like that. I told him once, "Are you a bus fan?" "Well, no, I'm not sure." "Well, obviously you are a bus fan. Probably more in depth than any bus fan I ever lived. The only thing is his bus fanning was more involved of the bus itself rather than going down Main Street or Broadway."
All right.
George Powell told me he could only sleep 4 hours a night.
Damn.
So he'd go to bed around 10 o'clock, and he'd get up around 2. And from 2 to 7 in the morning, he would drive to all of the 11 RTD or divisions and show up at 2 or 3 in the morning and scare the hell out of all the mechanics and everybody. The top man is here. And so everybody was afraid to try to not to get away with things.
Catch him sleeping.
Well, he's fired many a man caught
Yeah.
sleeping in the back of a bus.
Wow.
Oh yeah. That's the reason why they didn't do it. Everybody was afraid. They didn't know when he was going to show up. And but he was very good with the employees. He was fair to them. Strict, but fair.
So of the 11 divisions, what did he have? Like one main shop for engines and stuff? Or?
Yeah, the South Park shops are the main shop. And he separated the main shop from the operating people. And the reason that was done was so that the operating people wouldn't say, hey, I need this bus at 5 o'clock, get your guy to rush. He said, no, we'll give you the bus back when we're finished working on it. You don't get it before then. And most companies don't do it. Most companies, if a bus breaks, you fix it. You bust your fix. But he was always ahead of it all. And he didn't want the operating people bugging him. Oh, I need this bus tonight. I need it for it. Well, you're not going to get it. That's all there is to it.
So if a bus broke at one of the outer divisions, he'd have it towed to the main shop and let him
If
do
it was a major thing that he didn't feel they could do, yes. He wanted all the transmissions, all the engines, and differentials, and brakes all had to go to South Park on a calendar basis. So the guys at the divisions didn't have much to do, so they could paint the wheels and do all the little change the glass and stuff like that. And that's the reason why they were so good. He was a strange man, though. He was not, the average Joe. He was a bit hard to talk to. He was all business. And he was not afraid of management in any way. And he would tell management, I make you look good, leave me alone. I save you money and I make you look good. Leave me alone. And that's just about what they did.